Made in Kent Radio, Tuesday afternoon. This is Matt James with you till 5. Now, very pleased to welcome my first guest into the studio today. It's Amanda Larkman. Good afternoon.
Hello.
Thank you very much for joining us. Amanda, tell us, you're an author. So
I am.
Tell me more.
I am. Well, I started writing as I approached 50 and realised that if I didn't start writing now, when am I going to write? I've wanted to write all my life. I've got hundreds of books stored on my hard drive that never got anywhere, and I had this character circling around my head, very much based on my grandmother, who's a bit of a nightmare. She died at 96, 97 and was quite wicked, but a real character, and she kept circling around my head. So I thought, well, I'm going to sit down and start writing. So I wrote my first book, which is The Woman and the Witch, available on Amazon.
Fantastic.
And it's the story of a 100-year-old bad-tempered witch who falls over and breaks her hip, and she's awful. She's just one of those people who, if you make her a bad cup of tea, she'll flick boils on you, you know. And I wanted to explore the idea of an older woman being a bit subversive and quite irritable and doesn't suffer fools gladly, but she's also magic, so that if anyone is rude to her or pushes her over on the street or whatever, she can use her magic to get back.
That. Yep.
Exactly, and that's what. And she's not very nice, because my grandmother was quite cruel. She was an interesting character. She learned fluent Russian when she was 70. She didn't go to my mother's wedding. She didn't believe in religion.
Right.
Was just kind of rude to everybody, and lived in Dartford, actually.
Okay.
She lived in North Road, and I once met a milkman who, when he was a kid, he worked with the milkman in North Road. And he said to me, I know Dartford very well. I used to work as a milkman's lad. And I said, oh, my grandmother lived there. And he said, oh, okay. He said, do you know, he said, I remember, there was one woman, awful woman. She used to do these awful things to us, and it was my grandmother.
Oh, my goodness.
Yeah. So anyway, it's based on her. So it's like my grandmother, but magic.
Right, with the magic side in. I like that.
Very powerful. So she breaks her hip, doesn't want any help, and basically she meets this other woman who's called Angie. The woman is called Freda the Witch. And then you've got Angie, who's the woman. And she's a 50-year-old cleaner. Her husband's left her, gone and had an affair with another woman. She's just like, I'm at the end of my life. You know, my marriage is over, my 30-year-old marriage is over. What's left for me? And she's just middle-aged. She's quite fat. Do you know what I mean? She's quite based on me, actually.
Oh, no.
hitting 50, and not, I mean, my lovely husband, obviously, I'm still with and everything, but it's just that idea of that part of her life was over, and she couldn't see can't see her future. Right. And she ends up caring for Freda, who can't bear her. She thinks she's awful, and she thinks the old woman's awful. And they end up forming a friendship and end up kind of teaming up and solving the problems of the world.
And was that book based on any sort of experiences?
No.
Not so much.
On my grandmother. But I think that kind of sense of reaching middle age and looking back more than you look forward, and thinking, what am I going to do with the rest of my life? And I think that was quite a lot of why I started writing.
Yeah.
So I thought, well, I've always wanted to write, and now hitting 50, why haven't I done it? So it was a chance to.
Have you always loved writing then?
Always. I mean, I'm an English teacher now.
Oh, really? So into English literature?
All of that. Yeah. I love teaching, I love English, I love reading, all of those things. And it's just that thing where I've just never sat down and got on with it. And it took me 3 years to write. And I've now just published the sequel, which is a prequel to that one. A little bit more information about the witch when she was a younger woman and had a bit of a midlife crisis. So that's kind of the theme.
Because they're big books as well. So they
are 400 pages.
Yeah, they are heavy books. You've got a good read here. Yes. Which is fantastic.
And it's also on Audible, that one. Read by me, but I do sound slightly like a mad Amdram middle-aged woman. So I'm not a professional, so
there's quite a lot of inspiration behind these books then.
Oh, absolutely.
In life. Yeah. And you say you were a teacher before?
I am, yeah.
You're still a teacher, right?
Yes,
at the
I am,
moment.
yeah.
Well, how do you find the time to write books?
Lockdown helped. That's what it was, really. And just driven by, staying up late, working during the holidays. That's a great advantage of being a teacher, is you can kind of do something else during the holidays. Yeah. And lockdown helped, where, I had all that time to get on with it. So.
I suppose, we've had lots of businesses in and writers and that actually, being locked down for a bit of time has given that extra space to...
Absolutely, and I think it's really good to have that. It's so rare, isn't it?
It is.
You can't do anything else.
No. Hopefully we won't get it again, but, some of us have...
I'm on a roll now. I'm all right now. I've worked out how to do it.
So what's coming next then? You've got another book coming out.
Yeah, I've got Freda's just come out, the sequel to that one. Yep. I've also wrote a thriller last year called The Bookbinder, and that's just about a serial killer The interesting is the Woman and the Witch is the one that people have really fallen in love with. They really like the bad-tempered old woman, and I get a lot of people coming to me saying how much they enjoyed it. I think because it's quite an original story, whereas the thriller's perhaps more, a thriller's a thriller, So that's the one I've got, a lot of feedback, really positive, nice feedback from people.
And before we came on air, we were just talking about the covers as well. They're really lovely illustrated.
I'm really pleased with
covers
them.
To the books as well, and they kind of is it the same designer?
The same designer, and the idea is it's like a printer's press, if you like, or one of those little cupboards where you can put lots of little things.
Yes.
And I like that every object on there has a reference to something in the
book.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, we don't want to give too much away, but they look fantastic. So, if somebody wants to buy a copy,
Amazon, go straight onto Amazon, or you can go to the wonderful Walrus and Oyster Emporium in Canterbury.
Oh, amazing!
And you can buy it. Who I think have been on here.
They're members of Made in Kent as well.
Yes, they are. And you can buy the books there as well.
Fantastic. And you say you've got an Audible version as well. Is that available?
Yeah, I've got an Audible. On Audible. With Woman and the Witch and my book and the bookbinder have both got Audible versions if you want to hear the Audible. And the Woman and the Witch is on Amazon doing a special offer on it. It's 99p until the end of the month.
Oh, well,
so
there we go.
Hurry.
Getting quick.
By the time this goes out.
Well,
oh dear.
Look, fantastic. Amanda, congratulations on the books.
They
look incredible. Look, keep in touch with us as well. As a member of Made in Kent, we'll get you back in as well to talk about what's happening next and find out how the books are going. And thank you for joining us today on Made in Kent Radio.
Oh, thank you very much for having me.